So we are asked to balance this chemical reaction. So let us look into this one by one. So the first reaction given to us is HNO3. Sorry, it's HNO3 plus CaOH2. So HNO3 and CaOH2 reacts to form CaNO3 twice plus H2O. Now remember, whenever you see H2O, so you have to balance that oxygen and hydrogen at the end. So that's just a convention. It makes the balancing part a little bit easy. Now let's balance. So let's balance the nitrogen first. So on the left hand side we have one nitrogen. On the left hand side we have one nitrogen, and on the right hand side we have two nitrogens. So let me put 2 here. So nitrogen is balanced. Okay, now let's move on to calcium. Let us for some time forget oxygen and hydrogen. So let us move on to calcium. Now you see on the left hand side we have one calcium, whereas on the right hand side also we have one calcium. That means calcium is already balanced. Okay, so now let's put our focus on hydrogen and oxygen. So on the left hand side we have 2 hydrogen, 2 and 2. Yeah, so on the left hand side we have 4 hydrogen, whereas on the right hand side we have 2 hydrogen. So let us balance this hydrogen first. So if we put 2 here, so hydrogen becomes 4 on the right hand side. Similarly, hydrogen, number of hydrogen on the left hand side is also 4. Now what about the oxygen? Now you see on the left hand side we have 2 times 3, 6 plus 2. On the left hand side we have 8 oxygen, whereas on the right hand side also we have 8 oxygen. So that means oxygen is automatically got balanced. Okay, so this is the balanced chemical equation for part A. Now let's move on to part B. Part B says NaOH reacts with H2SO4 to form Na2SO4 plus H2O. Now whenever you have H2O, so you have to remember that you not remember, but it's a convention to make the balancing easier. So whenever you see H2O on either side, we will balance the oxygen and hydrogen at the end. Let us balance the other elements first. So let's balance sodium first. So on the left hand side we have one sodium, whereas on the right hand side we have 2 sodium. So let's balance the sodium first. So let me put this 2 here. Okay, so this is 2 NaOH. Now let's move on to sulfur. So on the left hand side we have one sulfur, whereas on the right hand side also we have one sulfur. So sulfur is automatically balanced. Now what about oxygen and hydrogen? So let's focus on, let's say, hydrogen. So on the left hand side we have 2, 2, 4. We have 4 hydrogen, whereas on the right hand side we have only 2 hydrogen. So let me put 2 here. So on the right hand side also we have 4 hydrogen, and on the left hand side also we have 4 hydrogen. Now what about the oxygen atoms? On the left hand side we have 2 and therefore 6 oxygen atoms, whereas on the right hand side also we have 6 oxygen atoms. That means this equation is balanced. Now let's move on to C. Part C. Part C says NaCl plus AgNO3 becomes AgCl plus NaNO3. Okay, let's balance the sodium first. So on the left hand side we have one sodium, on the right hand side also we have one sodium. That means sodium is balanced. On the left hand side we have one calcium, and on the right we have one calcium, so it is also balanced. On the left hand side we have one silver, And similarly on the right hand side also we have one silver atom, that means silver is also balanced. Now about nitrogen, on the left hand side we have one nitrogen, on the right hand side we have one nitrogen, so nitrogen is also balanced. And the oxygen, on the left hand side we have 3 oxygen, and on the right hand side we have 3 oxygen, so oxygen is also balanced. That means this equation is already balanced. Now part D. For part D, so we have BaCl2 plus we have H2SO4 becomes BaSO4 plus HCl. Now in this equation let us balance the elements. So let's start with barium. So on the left hand side we have one barium, so on the right hand side also we have one barium, so barium is balanced. Now at calcium, on the left hand side we have 2 calcium, but on the right we have only 1, so let's put 2 here, so calcium is also getting balanced. Now the sulfur, on the left hand side we have 1 sulfur, on the right hand side also we have 1 sulfur. On the left hand side number of oxygen is 4, on the right hand side also number of oxygen is 4. On the left hand side number of hydrogen is 2, and on the right hand side number of hydrogen is 2. That means this equation is also balanced. So regarding balancing of chemical equation, you need to practice a lot of questions so that you can solve this question at an ease. So that's all from this solution. Thank you.